Creative South friends, I don't think that I'm going to be able to join you this year, and I'm really sad about it. My life is currently split between Alabama and Ohio, and I'm hoping to spend more time in Ohio. Anyways, I'm going to be doing a whole bunch of crazy stuff. But I wanted to make a video message for y'all. I'll try and be as short as possible, but I'm very long-winded. And first, I just wanted to say that, usually I wear a pirate hat, just in case you don't recognize me. My name's Carol Record, and I've been coming to Creative South since right after the pandemic. I tried to come the last one before the pandemic, and I drove all the way down to Columbus, which thankfully wasn't too far, just a couple of hours, to find that the hotel that I had had booked for over half a year, because I had been hearing about how wonderful Creative South was in the community, and I had been searching for my design community. I had found my other communities, or some of my other communities, but I'd been searching for my design community, and I get down there, and it's being demolished. It's being demolished. Like, I had booked my hotel through Priceline, and they didn't tell Priceline that their hotel was not just closing, but being destroyed. Anyways, my husband was with me, and we spent over an hour on the phone with Priceline and quite a few hours trying to find another place to stay. But there was a military graduation. There was nothing. The closest room was in Auburn, and there's a hotel that had one room. I don't remember what the hotel was. So we started driving that way, and then they called me back to tell me that they couldn't rent me the room because the lock on the door wasn't working. Oh man, I was disappointed. I went home, and I think I emailed Mike or somebody because I wasn't able to go to ask if I could have access to the virtual digital thing, and thankfully I was given that, so I was able to at least kind of get like a little peek of things. But 100%, I wasn't meant to be there that year. I was meant to have this crazy fucking story that I can tell y'all about now, and I just want you to know this is a very vulnerable thing for me to do. Despite how much I put myself out there on the internet, especially right now, it's taken a lot of self-work to get there. But anyways, first I just want to thank all of you. It was very special coming to Creative South right after the pandemic. I almost died during the pandemic. I was hospitalized for 16 days in 2020, and I had a lot of strange experiences. They called it steroid psychosis at the time. Now I know it was an altered state of consciousness, and it was basically, like, long story short, it was like a really big, like, spiritual reawakening. And I had kind of closed off a lot of that in my life for a long time because I'm born, raised, and have lived in Alabama all of my life. Well, except for the 6 months over the last 2 years I spent in Ohio, which is where my husband's currently living. Anyways, the first time I came to Creative South, I'm a very social person, especially on the internet. And I was so excited that they made a Discord because that was where my primary home on the internet was at the time. I was on Discord, so I was very comfortable there. And so I started posting to see if anybody wanted to meet up for dinner, and I have no idea who I had dinner with that first night. I have pictures somewhere, but I found some people to have dinner with, but they didn't know me. I didn't know what they looked like, and so I had just done a pirate-themed photo shoot or not really a photo shoot, but kind of with a friend, because my gaming community is pirate-themed. And I happened to have a pirate hat in the car. And when I walked in, instead of telling them to look for the big girl, because I was about 300 pounds, walking through the doors, I'd be like, look for the person with the pirate hat. Let me give them something like fun to look for. And they loved it so much, they talked me into wearing the hat the whole freaking weekend. And it's one of the best things that ever happened to me, and it changed my life. So first, I know from experience with going to like fan conventions and stuff that if you are authentically you, it's easier for your people to find you. And I swear, like, almost all of the talks at that Creative South that year, especially the one by Dave and Diane, I felt like they were meant just for me. And it was really weird because I still hadn't fully kind of processed the spiritual awakening experience I'd had. I knew that God was talking to me and stuff, but I didn't know how much of it was real, how much it might be in my head, like how insane I was. I'm insanely awesome and insanely fun. But when they did their talk about how to be a super friend and stuff, I was like, oh my freaking God. That's how I live. Like, that here's somebody else, verbalizing and doing a presentation on the philosophy of how to live that I've slowly put together over the years, or that I try to live by most of the time. Anyways, being willing to be the weird, awkward one so that other people feel encouraged, aka leading by example. If you are alone and isolated and feel, whatever it is, there's always somebody else that feels that way. Even if you feel like you're the only one, And I hated that feeling throughout my life. Like I've always been a loner. Thank God for my husband Carl and now the other people that are in my life. But just always been so different and just all that stuff and had to hide so much about me and things like that. And I'm still trying to get over some of that and just let my hands move when they want to move and just be myself and speak my language. And sianoko vaka sianakashina. Anyways, that's been a fun new development. Long story short, because this is getting kind of long and I don't remember what the time limit is on Discord, that conference changed my life. And one of the big things that stood out to me, I think I cried a little bit, like the last day I got a little emotional, because I did feel slightly uncomfortable. I mean, first, Chris Doe did a talk about, how he wears a hat. It says like God is a designer. So, I remember God telling me that when I was in the hospital. And because God told me that when I was in the hospital, that was one of those synchronous things. So God told me, it means anything, everything, that he's a designer. And I see this dude wearing this damn hat, and I had no idea who the hell he was. I didn't know who anybody was at this conference except Von Glitch. God, I'm gonna mess up his last name. That dude, LinkedIn Learning. I love you. Thank you. You're one of my teachers. I think you're awesome. And I like your family. I don't think we didn't see you this last time. I missed you. Anyways, he was talking about how he wears a hat so that people can find him. And this is when we're in the opera house. And here I am, wearing a pirate hat. I swear, I felt like, I know everybody wasn't looking at me, but I swear when he started talking about that, I just started sinking down in my chair. I just started sinking down in my chair because like, I felt like I was being called out, and I'm a little shy. But anyways, we're at that family like picnic barbecue thing the next day. And I'm just like, man, I can't not go say something to him. Like I've got to go speak to him. He's basically talking about me. And I don't remember exactly what I said to him. I walked up to him with some other people. We talked about education a little bit. And I remember he talked about how the future of education is online and stuff and in his school and everything. But he said something to me. I think the thing that he said to me was, we've all seen you or something. And man, when he said that, it was like this weird moment where I didn't feel like he was literally talking about, we've like visually seen you. I felt like he was talking about him and other people. I felt like he saw my soul. And maybe he didn't, but that's what that meant to me at that time. And then when I left there, I was so shaken up. All I did for the week after that first conference was make videos and journal and blog and stuff, because I have memory issues and I have to document and journal things to help me remember them. So if I experience something extremely special, I do this. And after freaking 5 days of this, I felt like I owed my husband an explanation as to why I had been so busy with this, and it was such something I needed to do so bad. We spent an hour in the car just talking, and I just started crying, and I had all these flashbacks to these experiences I had when God spoke to me in the hospital, and I just kind of like really realized that all of that was real, and that God had been with me my whole life, leading me and stuff. And part of that was because I've got a bit of religious trauma from growing up in Alabama. And so normally I avoid anyone that mentions anything, even though I've always been very spiritual and talking pretty God every day. I'm just like, you know what? I'll just keep my stuff to myself. You don't need to know. My relationship with God is between me and him. It's none of your damn business. And there was just a little bit, like a prayer here. Diane said Jesus is her best friend and all this kind of stuff. Just enough to make me a little uncomfortable. But when I got home, I told my husband, that's like, one of the reasons this was so special to me is because it reminded me of the kind of church community that I always wished I could have found, but never found. So thank you.